Hello friends, this is Eileen Fernandez-Parker from Cultivating the Learning. And in this video, this one's going to be a little bit longer. I want to show you how you can add multiple assessments to a tracker. So in this tracker, it looks like you can only assess one time, but if we are using pre-assessments and post-assessments, then we need to be able to have multiple assessments here, and that is possible. So what we're going to do is we're going to be looking at standard 2 for number sense, point 2. And it has to do with counting by tens and hundreds to 1,000. So we're going to click on Assess in this drop-down menu. And these assessments that we're going to add here are only going to apply to this one standard. So we're going to hit Add Assessment. And we're going to search the community first for assessments that other people have made, because there's no point in reinventing the wheel. Now, what I want you to look at here is on this bar right here. It's already filtered for us, and we can see that this is going to be only standard 2.2 assessments that have that standard. For second grade, it's going to be the South Carolina standards. Now, here it says created by all. So what we need to do is we need to choose, do we want it to be everybody in the nation, or do we want it just to be people in our school? If we know that somebody already created one, we can just go and find it. Or it could be teachers in our district, or it could be the case assessments. The case assessments often have a lot of options. If you know that there is a benchmark or an assessment that was made by your district, it's better to just click on My District to find it, or in your school. But for right now, we're going to choose all, and it's going to be math. And now what we've got here is, over here, I want to draw your attention to that if you want to check some that have been peer reviewed, that's not a bad idea, right? So we know that these have been peer reviewed, but notice nobody has used them. So I find that interesting. So what I want to choose is the most used. And now this one was used 236 times. So 234, 233. So that tells me that these are probably pretty good. So I'm going to click on here, and we're going to take a peek at it. This only has 2 questions, so I wouldn't consider that to be strong. And this is also patterning. So I'm not thinking that I like that either. So I'm going to back out of this, and I'm going to say no thanks. And I'm going to see what else is here. Okay. Now notice there are multiple standards on some of these, and we just want single standards for our pre-assessment. So this is skip counting. I'm going to take a peek at this and see if I like it. And this one is it's a digital format that you'll be able to print out, but the questions are already made for you. Okay. And if I scroll down here, I can see that the answers have been added digitally, and there are 10 questions to this. And what I can do is I can print this out if I want the students to have a paper copy. I can clone it, and I can bookmark it. I can also add it right to my tracker. So let's see if we hit add to tracker. If you teach multiple classes, like if kids switch for teachers, you can choose to have your AM and your PM class, or period 1, period 2. For right now, we're just going to add it to our second grade math. And now we've got an assessment built in, and you can see up here that we've got mastery is an 80%, near mastery is a 70%. So out of 100, there were 10, right? They're 10 points each. Now, let's say that this is your pre-test for skip counting. You can add another one. And let's say you want to be able to put the answers in for your kids. You would choose enter raw scores. So let's just say you already have a paper assessment that you want to use and you don't want to have to bother with digitally setting everything up. This is going to be your skip counting analog assessment. I'm just going to pretend that you've got 10 questions too. So the total score is 10. The mastery is going to be 8. And I'm going to say that near mastery is 6. I might even make it 5 because when a kid sees yellow, that's a lot better than red. And so psychologically, I want them to know that they're not like at one or 2, right? So I'm going to add it to the tracker. And what's going to happen with this one is the kids will take the assessment. And then as a teacher, just the same way you would put your scores in Power School, you are just going to put them in here. So if I put the scores in here, you can see that now you've got a color setup for tracking. Okay, and this was set up on a 1-point mode. So you can see that Mickey and Minnie are emerging. Donald is near mastery. Daisy is mastered. Okay, so Daisy would be able to move on to the next thing. And I know that I need to pull a small group of all my yellows and then a separate group with all my reds, or I might start with my reds and then I might layer in my yellows so that when I get my reds up to near mastery, then I pull all my yellows. Okay, so however it works for you in the classroom, but what you've seen in this video is how to add an assessment, and these are multiple assessments that are for the same standard, single standard. Okay, now I'm just going to add scores in here. And there's one more thing I want to show you. Over here, there is this grade cam feature. So if you have kids in the upper levels and they are able to do, bubbles, I want to show you that quickly. So let's just say I'm going to create a new assessment, and I already have it on paper, and my kids are able to bubble it in. Okay, so I'm just going to call this my bubble assessment. My source is going to be no document, no digital document, right? Bubble sheet only. I am going to add, let's say I have 5 questions. And of course, it's the same for 10. I have to set my answer key here. It automatically defaults it to 1 point. I can tag it if I want to. So I can say that this one is a basic, which might be a DOK1. And this one might be basic. And this one might be a little bit harder. And then this last one might be advanced. Okay, now you don't have to do that. You can just leave them the way they are. These are all multiple choice. I'm going to set my mastery is going to be 5. My near mastery is, or maybe I'll even make that 4. My near mastery is going to be 3. And then I'm going to create the assessment. Now, what's key here is that you need to print out your bubble sheets. Okay, so when you hover over bubble assessment, you can click on print bubble sheet. It's pre-checked that it pre-fills with student IDs, the assessment name, and the teacher name. So what happens is when I click, I'm going to click print bubble sheets so that we can see what this looks like. Notice the student ID. I'm going to try and zoom in here for you. Nope, won't work. The student ID is already bubbled in for them. So the kids don't have to know this ID. It's automatic. All they have to do is fill in the bubbles. So you would print this out, and then you can, when you use this grade cam feature, you can use your phone or an iPad to just very quickly scan the assessment and you'll hear gadunk, and you know it's graded. And the information automatically comes into your tracker. So that I'll have to share with you in a different video, but this is very, very efficient for teachers. Okay, and you could even leave an iPad at a station, and kids, when they're finished, can go over and scan their own stuff. So you don't even have to do it. All right. So hopefully this has been helpful. So we covered um, how to add a digital test, how to add an analog test, and how to add a bubble assessment. So what I'm going to do now is I'm going to go back into my tracker, and what I want to see is, now you can see how this master tracker starts to fill so that you can see very easily who is doing well and who is not, who needs more support. All right. So hopefully this has been helpful. What I'd love for you to do is go jump in there and take one of your assessments that you've already given and try to add it to your master tracker. All right. Okay. And see you in the next video.